I want to take a look, just discuss for a second the juvenile justice laws in the country and how they're hurting not only the economy of today, but they're handicapping the economy of tomorrow here in the US. Think about this. Now, you got a lot of politicians, usually of a leftist bent, who are here in Baltimore, for example, in Maryland, rather, we have juvenile justice laws that are currently being debated. I will be honest about that. They might change course on this, but right now, if a kid does something like steal a car or they're caught in possession of something they shouldn't have, they take them home to usually an environment that, let's just say, isn't too wholesome in a lot of cases. Let's just be real about it, right? So, this is supposed to be compassionate. But in reality, it's anything but, because what these policies, what these juvenile justice laws are doing is they are teaching these kids there are no consequences for criminal activity. Now, of course, if you got a kid that does something stupid, short of violence, I'm not talking about violence here, but if they steal something, they steal a car, they steal something from a store, of course, we're not throwing that child in the deepest, darkest prison for 20 years. No, no. There are programs that can, get through to that child and say, hey, look, there are consequences to your action. You don't want to go down this road. Stealing is wrong. And we can make it clear to them in a way that does not destroy their future. But the juvenile justice policies have these kids out here running wild. And look, let's just, on this channel, we're totally honest. A lot of this comes from white liberals who want to advance this, notion of uh, retributive justice. Okay, so issues in the past will now be addressed by letting youth get away with crime. Now, here's where it gets really sad. You got a 16-year-old, 15-year-old going out there doing things. Okay, they take them home to mommy, daddy, whoever. But the moment they turn 18, that's when stuff gets real. And that's when they go over into the big boy justice system. Okay. Now, mind you, before that, in their, before they hit 18, they were just taken home. It was the compassionate thing to do. Take them home without learning any kind of lesson, without getting some sort of reinforcing message from the state, capital S government, that this behavior won't be tolerated. And somewhere in there saying, hey, look, when you get 18, if you continue this behavior, you're going to suffer some consequences. So we got kids hitting 18, going with this message that there are no consequences, and then finding out that there are indeed serious consequences. Okay, case in point. We just had a young man sentenced to 15 years in adult prison here in Baltimore because he was during the commission of his job as a squeegee kid. What is a squeegee kid? It's a kid that posts up on a corner, or oftentimes grown men too, and they have a squeegee, and they basically engage in extortion to get money for cleaning your windshield. Okay. Now, we all know that we can be driving down the road at 100 miles per hour and hit the thing inside the car and clean the windshield. This is a service that's not needed. Yet and still, politicians in Baltimore have gone to the wall to convince these young people that engage in this activity that it is somehow a serious, economically viable alternative to, say, getting a job at McDonald's, okay, which is where I worked when I was a teenager, one of the places. So we had a young man who was engaging in this. He happened upon a grown man who wasn't trying to have any part of it. His car was damaged, allegedly. One thing led to another. This kid just got convicted of killing this adult man. Okay. So now the kid's going to spend 15 years in prison, maybe. With our justice system here in Maryland, you never know. So Look at how these policies are impacting the economy of today, because a lot of people will not go into Baltimore City anymore because of the perception that they're going to either be the victim of property crime or violent crime or both. All right. So on a level of, a bustling, what was once a bustling downtown with a lot of businesses, there's a big question mark now. Okay. So that's one way that we're seeing crime, you know, having a material effect on our cities. The other thing is Baltimore loses about a percentage point of population every year to 18 months. That's a tax base that's getting up and leaving. Now, I'm sure all those people that are leaving are not homeowners, but when you leave a municipality, you might have a particular spot you like to go to get a drink in that municipality, particular spot you like to go to have a bite to eat, on and on and on. You're not going to travel back into that municipality just for those things. You're not doing that. So we've got that going on. And then uh, we also have this new thing. Well, it's not new, but relatively speaking, we have retail theft. Okay, which is the headline you see on the screen now. Retail theft is just exploding. Now, these companies don't usually come out and say retail theft is a big problem, but it's not difficult to glean from statements that they make and from all types of information we get from other places that crime and the whole defund the police mantra, that whole thing has not worked out for the tax-paying, law-abiding citizen. Okay. And now it's starting to stress out the investor. And you are an investor. I don't care if you got money actively invested in some, Schwab account or what have you. You're Wall Street. If you got a pension, if you got a 401k or one of those other qualified plans, okay, you're Wall Street. Trust me on that. So we see a material effect happening to these large companies and smaller ones. Now, the smaller ones are just picking up and leaving, okay, or closing their doors. We had several instances of that in Baltimore where they say, there's one grocery store in particular, a community grocery store. They say, we just can't do it anymore. Okay, we're getting robbed blind. And in most cases, insurance does not cover retail theft for the owner of the establishment. So that just turns out to be a 100% loss, all right, that they got to eat. Retail theft costs U.S. merchants like Walmart and Target $100 billion a year. Now, I don't care who you are or where you're from, $100 billion is a lot of money. And remember, Walmart and Target are publicly traded companies. Okay. All right. So let's take a look here at another instance. Now, again, right here in Baltimore. Okay. Back in 2015, you might have heard about the riots that we had here over Freddie Gray, who was a Baltimore citizen who was arrested. And when he was arrested, things went awry. He died. Okay. A riot ensued. Now, one of the things that happened during this riot, let's talk about the effects of crime on commerce. A neighborhood CVS pharmacy was burned out. It wasn't burned down. The shell of the building was still there, but no one was going in. Now, let me explain to you where this CVS was. It was like in the heart of West Baltimore. It served a high rise, a mid rise rather, senior living building. Okay, so we got the seniors in there, low income, fixed income seniors. Pharmacy right down at the foot of the building. How convenient is that, right? They don't have to get on a bus and travel anywhere. They don't have to worry about getting a cab or an Uber to go anywhere. It's right there in the neighborhood. This neighborhood, Penn North area, low income area, again in the heart of West Baltimore. Another little interesting anecdote. During the riots, there's a public library prominently positioned right on one of the main corners of the Penn North neighborhood. Pennsylvania North, right there. Prominent library sitting right there. This library was the safest place in the whole doggone riot situation. Nobody touched the library. Nobody went, they didn't come into the library the next day and say, all the books are gone. You know, there's just been this rash of people who want to be educated and they stole all the books. No, wasn't touched. In fact, some people hid there from what was going on when it, in the hours that it first broke out. Now, this pharmacy was burned down. It displaced a lot of folk who had to then get up, poor people, okay, poor seniors who had to get up and go somewhere else to get their prescriptions filled, to get a little bottle of, Coca-Cola for a snack at night. You know, damn them, right? The law abiding, tax paying citizen. This was not a CVS in an affluent neighborhood. This occurred in the heart of a black neighborhood that is low income.